We're rolling into week 5. You're looking at waivers. You're looking at your bench. You're trying to look at a running back that might have some upside over these next few weeks. You're looking at these running backs who have not been living up to expectations. And you're wondering, what's this going to look like once bye weeks hit? Once my roster gets more decimated with injuries? Who could I look at as an ad or as a guy in the back end of my roster that might give me a little bit more oomph to the lineup? Today, we're going to be looking at Antonio Gibson, running back of the New England Patriots. He was a hot get off the waiver wire this week. A lot of people picked him up. A lot of people are probably still going to be picking him up, but we're going to deep dive him right now. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing these deep dives every day with the You Need series. We're deep diving as many players as possible. You'll probably see 3, 4, 5 of them on the channel today. We're also using these videos to help you set your lineups with the must starts, the sneaky starts, whatever kind of starts, with those videos as well. Click that button, stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching, don't disappoint him. You don't want to make him sad. But Rhamondre Stevenson might be getting benched. At least it's being thought of. That's rumored in the media at least. That might be a thing going forward. So that's something we gotta pay attention to. And a lot of people have, because they picked up Antonio Gibson off the waiver wire this week. And Antonio Gibson, since like week 2, has been getting more opportunities, more snaps, more run in the offense as like the 1B, as the handcuff plus in this backfield. And since around week 2, we've been adding him to our deep running back waiver wire videos that we do every Tuesday, usually in the back end of those videos, because he's a top tier handcuff. He's running a lot of routes. He's getting targeted. He's getting opportunities. And that being said, something happened to Rhamondre Stevenson, then he'd probably get about 20 plus opportunities a game. And Rhamondre Stevenson has been fumbling the ball. Coughed up 2 fumbles to the opposing team in the last 2 weeks, but he has fumbled in every game this season and has not been super explosive. His yards per carry is usually under 4. Not great at the running back spot here. He's good at getting volume. He's good at getting carries, but that's dissipating. Ever since week 2, we're looking at 6 carries. We're looking at 13. So things are slowing down. Things looked good going into the season as Rhamondre Stevenson signed a good contract. And he looked good 2 years ago. One of the top running backs in the NFL with targets. But since then, it was slower last year. We're sharing a backfield with Ezekiel Elliott. That could have been a sign when you have to share touches with Ezekiel Elliott. You're in and out of the lineup with injury as well. On top of that, you bring in Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's a different thing, because when you look at the workout metrics for Rhamondre Stevenson, 4.69 40-yard dash, not very enticing. You see that on the field. You see that. But we got the size. We got good vision. We got good contact balance. We're good at everything else to keep things afloat. But that dependability to not cough up the football, that ability to get you a lot of yards when you see daylight, it's really not there. And when you look at a guy like Antonio Gibson, former wide receiver, turned running back, runs a 4.3 or used to run a 4.3, but has that pop in the step, has good size, adjusted athleticism. When you put him on the field, you notice a difference, something that you want on the field as a coach. You want a guy that when he sees daylight can really get you a large gain, if not house it. You're seeing that with Antonio Gibson. Not the best running back. He was raw coming out of college. As we all know, he's mainly a wide receiver who got carries, especially in 2019, his final year at Memphis. But his yards after the catch per reception back then, 11.7 with an ADOT of 10.5. Elite for a running back / wide receiver hybrid coming out, which got us put on notice. He was drafted in the 3rd round, 4.3 speed, got good size for the running back position. And for a guy with those characteristics to turn around and average 11.9 PPR fantasy points per game from 2020 until now, everything averaged together, that's very good. Multiple RB1 weeks. He can go off on any given Sunday. He can also bust on any given Sunday. That's just what the chart says. He can go off on any given Sunday, or he can be a bust on any given Sunday. That is just what's wired in his portfolio here, and that's what we're seeing. The upsides here with his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, his size-adjusted athleticism. He's a big home run threat that can rack up catches, which is something you want, which is something you may not see with the Patriots, but we're also seeing a little bit of a taste here with his usage in the passing game, and we're also seeing him catch up to Rhamondre Stevenson. Yards per carry wise, 5.3 yards per carry. Looking a little bit better in those numbers compared to Rhamondre Stevenson. Stevenson has lost 2 fumbles on the season, and then looking at the opportunities here, he is starting to rack up more opportunities over these last 2 weeks. Rhamondre Stevenson started off the year strong with a lot of touches, but it's backing off. And Antonio Gibson is starting to earn more touches, earn more targets, get more of the target share, run more routes, and we're starting to eat into that workload. And then on top of that, we're getting targeted on a much higher rate. On 37% of his routes ran, he receives a target versus 28% of Rhamondre Stevenson. The route participation rate over the last 2 weeks have been rather similar. However, Antonio Gibson's getting a better target rate. That being said, the quarterback back there sees Antonio Gibson out there in the flat, and they're like, hey, this guy's got potential. I'm just going to check it down. When I'm looking at Rhamondre Stevenson, I'm like, there's that 4.69 40-yard dash. What am I really going to get out of this? Might as well just push it downfield, go YOLO. Antonio Gibson is getting some opportunities in the passing game, and you're looking at the schedule going forward. We got a Dolphins matchup. If the Patriots can get up in this matchup, they're going to be running it a bit more. However, this could be a slow, ugly game script. Vegas is saying that. So when we're looking at these 2 running backs, do we even want them this week? That being said, when you look at the rankings here for Antonio Gibson compared to the other running backs, it's not like he's a big deal right now, but he is starting to get more workload. A lot of that's rumored workload too. We might actually get in game. It's actually just 10 opportunities, and it's whether or not he got space on those opportunities for him to be actually productive for fantasy football. He's compared to somebody like Tyler Algier this week. Zach Charbonnet might get some work in the passing game. You may want that more. Miles Sanders is getting volume, but Chuba's the guy. Zamir White has been a nightmare. Ezekiel Elliott. Manny Wilson has been getting touches as well. You got him versus Braylon Allen. Him versus Bucky Irvin, who's already played. Him versus Jaleel McLaughlin. Who are you taking? Him versus those guys. The thing about him is this game script has to break, but I don't see them using him too much in the passing game against the Dolphins unless the Dolphins get up. And on top of that, Rhamondre Stevenson, how much of his workload are they going to take away, if any? What if it's just a 50-50 split? Antonio Gibson has to reel off a big run or get a touchdown. You don't need him right now at running back because you're good. However, I deem him as one of the best stashes in the National Football League right now. If Rhamondre Stevenson goes down with an injury, you're looking at a running back here that's going to get 20 plus opportunities per game, going to get a lot of workload in the passing game. That's going to add up, especially in the right game scripts. Touches matter. Once we get in the bye weeks here, you're going to need a running back like this. I love him as a stash. I'm scared to start him week to week. I'm very scared of this. I don't like this offense. I don't like the Patriots offense that much. I don't think nobody really is. I don't think anybody's stacking Patriot players on their fantasy team. If they are, they're not winning too many games. Honestly, though, when I look at Antonio Gibson, I look at him as an underrated stash. And I've said this for multiple weeks on end. I've said it in every waiver wire video except for like the first one. And I might have said it then. Watch him and pick him up. Everyone's picked him up. And now we got to see what's going to happen. But if something happens to Rhamondre Stevenson, even if Antonio Gibson goes on a bad run, he's going to get 20 plus opportunities, and we're chasing the workload, we're chasing the volume, it's going to be there. I look at him as a high-end stash. Whether or not you start him, it's going to be a gamble. You start this guy versus that guy, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip once you get that far down in the rankings. It doesn't really matter. Things just got to go a certain way. But when you're looking at Antonio Gibson right now, high-end stash right now, because if Rhamondre Stevenson goes down, Gibson is going to get a lot of opportunity. He's going to get high-value opportunity in the passing game. and then opportunity possibly around the goal line as well, more than likely. And he's very electric. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.